I would like to know, you mentioned recently that the multiple personalities of a Hindu god equated to the relationship of the Quad plus France. You said when they meet, suddenly everything starts to work. I would like to hear you speak a little bit more about that, unpack it, and then talk about what priorities you see for the Quad Summit this year.
That's a very long question, but maybe a few priorities only, sir. Okay, let's go with my friend, Mohammed.
Okay, I would like to start by saying thank you.
No context, question.
Thank you for organizing Raisina and inviting us. Thank you. Okay, so my question is about BRICS. Last year, there was an expansion of BRICS that included some countries, including Egypt, my country. So what were the standards of choosing the new countries? What is the BRICS trying to achieve? And should the BRICS have a secretary?
Where are you from?
Egypt. He's a diplomat from Egypt.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, it's a good question. What were the standards and what were the criteria, right?
Yes. So,
what
are the standards? What are you trying to achieve?
We've got it. We've got the question. Great question. Okay.
Next.
You know, I am tempted to give it to Christoph. So, Christoph, you've been standing there patiently. Go ahead with your question, but don't make it predictable because I know what you're going to ask. Now, try to surprise me.
Yeah, I try. I would like to congratulate on the term cultural rebalancing and observation. Thank you. And this is my question goes to the maybe surprising way. Every great power, every rising power since Germany in the 30s to let's say China in the early 2000s basically made itself prominent by the means of sports and the games and Olympic Games. Do you think sports would be part of India's also role and presence in the world?
Yeah. So is that the end or can I take one more?
You can take one more.
Okay, Rian.
Thank you, Samir. I'll keep this.
You know, you had that look on your face that compelled me to give it to you.
So my question is regarding the Indian diaspora that you will find in all corners of the world. They've achieved a huge amount of success in multiple fields recently as political leaders. So I'd like to ask, how do you see the Indian diaspora and people of Indian origin contributing to your vision of Bharat?
Say that to me.
The Indian diaspora and the vision of Bharat, right? Have you engaged with them on the vision of Bharat, the Indian diaspora?
No. I still will finish this. And
okay. Go ahead.
No, should we can stop here.
You'll take one more round?
One last
round. Okay, good.
Okay.
So, then we are going to do one more round.
So, I think the first question was, after the elections, what would you define as success, right? Mm-hmm. So, first of all, thank you that you are figuring out what the direction of the elections are going to be. That's very, very perceptive and wise of you. And what would I see as success? So, look, the last 10 years, I think in many ways, we have contributed more, we have been more visible, we have tried to shape things more, we have taken more responsibility, and I think every one of those aspects, and I can give you examples for each one of them, each one, they would grow. But sometimes it's good to put things in some kind of number. And the fact is that today we are a shade below $4 trillion. We would be almost double that by the time we finish the next term. Mm-hmm. So if you look in terms of resource, and what this, people use this GDP number as a marker, okay? It carries a lot of implications. It means your trade will become bigger, it means your investments would be more, it means your influence would be greater, your overall weight goes up in the system. So I would say in many ways that by the time we reach the end of the decade, it's very clear we would be the third largest economy. But more than that, some of the big changes which are taking place in the world. And to me, as I said, re-globalization, resilient supply chains, the idea of a global workplace where there's mobility, where new businesses, the chips, the semiconductors, the batteries, the electric mobility, the renewables, all of these would require a very different kind of international economy. And it's there that, we can bring our human resources really into play. And to me, when I, conceptualize the world ahead, these are to me the new factors of change, and that's something I have written about in the book as well. On the Quad, the analogy, analogies are meant to be useful, not always literal. But the idea was that, I find it as someone who's been, with the Quad all through, including the first attempt. I find Quad actually very comfortable to work with, my Quad colleagues. There's a lot that we share in our way of work. Bear in mind, culturally we are very different, but we are all deeply democratic societies, market economies, pluralistic in many ways, able to argue out positions, put things in a very direct fashion to each other. So there is a certain comfort which has actually enabled Quad to ramp up very, very significantly in a very short space of time. When I look ahead, I do see it as one of the principal mechanisms of consultation and policy making in respect to the Indo-Pacific. On BRICS and the standards criteria, yes, there were standards and criteria. These were discussed in great detail. For various reasons, it was not made public. But obviously the standards were good, which is why we have Egypt. There were certain specific issues which were considered while taking the decision, but there was a broad alignment. Do these countries align with the nature of BRICS, with the positioning of BRICS, the sort of thinking of BRICS? And I think that was the overall overarching criteria, thinking which really guided the selection of members, along with some kind of geographical regional balance. On cultural rebalancing, I do think that is a big debate of our times, which is in a globalized world, this attempt to define who's politically correct, who is not, who will give judgment on whom, who will rate whom, who will, make those decisions. To me, that's an extrapolation of the competition. That the clever guys get in, the smartest way of playing a game is to become the judge. Then you get to decide how the players have done. Now, I think there's going to be a tussle how this works. And my sense is, if the economic diversity and the political diversity of the world have asserted themselves, I can't imagine that the cultural diversity will not do that. So I see that as something is coming. Sports. Look, countries like sports for two reasons. They are a reflection of competitiveness. They also are a matter of pride. I think both are reasonable. And it doesn't have to be the two countries you mentioned. Every country today at any game, it could be soccer. If a country wins a soccer final, Argentina saw it as a matter of enormous pride. So it's, to me, taking pride and preparing yourself for sports and honing those skills is a very natural part of human competitiveness. In this country, we also see that as very important to national fitness. So a lot of what we do You know, we have 2-3 big movements in this country. You know, we have something called like Play India. I mean, that's a literal translation or
Khelo India.
Khelo India, or, you know, a kind of a fitness. So we want people to be fit. I mean, it's part, frankly, of a public health policy. It keeps a country psychologically, you know, sharp if you encourage that. And certainly, you know, a lot of us in public life, we try today through personal example to exhort people to, you know, to take part in sports, to stay fit, to do things. So I'm very much a votary of that kind of thinking. Last question, Indian diaspora and Bharat. You know, I have, yes, there have been occasions I've had conversations, but I've felt from interactions I've had that the book resonates, the argument, the concept resonates very much with the diaspora, as it does, in fact, with large sections of Indian society.
Okay, I'm going to, unfortunately, I'm now going to use my veto as the moderator and limit this to 4 names. Last 4 names, short questions, no context, and I've already accepted all your thank yous, so no thank yous. Okay, so last 4 names, let me just pick them up. Sonam, you have been standing there, so I'll come to Sonam. I want to come to the brave Charlotte. She's not well, but she's still standing in the line, so I want to come to you and Carla. So you, Carla, and Sonam are the first 3, and maybe just because of persistence, I'll give it to Robert. So let's go, Sonam. Let's start with you.
Good evening, Your Excellency. I'm Sonam from Bhutan, alumni of Viseris Summer School of Global Governance 2017. While India is navigating the turbulent world we live in with admirable clarity of purpose, how does she plan to accommodate the concerns of Bhutan, which is caught between the 2 giants, of, both of which are ancient civilizational states? Given Bhutan's dependency on India for most of its needs and surplus in favor of India, how can India assure Bhutan that the concerns of countries like Bhutan and other smaller states matter, and how can competition be healthy between 2 powerful neighbors instead of the kind we have seen in Maldives? Thank you.
Charlotte?
Hello.
You can bring the mic down.
It's okay. I'll just go on my toes. So there's currently an Indian delegation in London looking to finalise the FTA with the UK. We've talked a lot about the EU and the relationship with India, but with the signing of the FTA, what will relations look like now, modern relations between the UK and India, which go back so many years? Thank you.
What would the relationships look like if you signed the FTA with UK? That's a question. We'll come to Carla and then Robert. Robert, maybe you can come in. That's good.
Hi, thank you. You've spoken about India as a civilizational power. What's your message to allies and partners who worry about the more extremist aspects of Hindutva pride? And is there a point at which these domestic issues would start to impact India's international standing? Should you do more to reassure allies and partners in the world about that?
And finally, Carla.
Thank you.
Robert, you can also, where are you from? US. Go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to ask, there's been a lot of talk in the last few days about what a potential